Hi, I'm Kirk Evans, president of U.S. LawShield. We're here today with an update on Illinois gun law. So there's a brand new gun law going into effect January 1, 2026 in Illinois that impacts the way you must store your firearms on your premises under your control or in a vehicle under your control. The old law in Illinois was that you had to store your firearms such that they could not be accessed by a, quote, minor. And a minor was defined as someone under the age of 14. The new law makes three changes to that. One, it bumps that up to folks under 18. So if there is someone under the age of 18 that might be able to access your firearms, you have to keep them locked up if they're in your premises or in your vehicle so that they cannot be accessed by that minor. In addition, it adds a categories of at-risk persons. An at-risk person can get a hold of your firearm. You must keep it locked up. And what is an at-risk person, or who is an at-risk person? That is defined as someone who either through words or behavior has shown that they might harm themselves or others. And so, there's the obvious one. Someone says, I think I'm going to kill myself. That's an obvious one. But other behavior, that's kind of murky. If you have that suspicion or something that they have done or some indication that they might harm themselves or others, got to keep your firearms locked up if they are on your premises or in your vehicle. Third category are prohibited persons. Persons prohibited under federal or state law from possessing firearms. If they're in your house, your business, your car, you got to keep your firearm locked up such that they cannot access it. In addition, the old law had one category where it said you could either lock up your firearm in a container, or you could keep it in some other place where the minor is unlikely to get a hold of it. That catch-all provision has been eliminated. So there's no more just pick a place where you don't think somebody's going to find it. It's got to be locked up in a secured container or a trigger lock, something like that. So what are the penalties? The penalties, if a minor gets a hold of it, can be as high as a Class A misdemeanor, which can be up to 364 days in jail. The other categories, if nobody does anything with the firearm, if they just have access to it, you've made a mistake, it's a $500 civil penalty. If the minor, the prohibited person, or the at-risk person gets a hold of the firearm but doesn't do anything with it, that's up to a $1,000 civil penalty. And then if something bad happens, if one of those categories of persons gets the firearms and actually injures or shoots someone, it's up to a $10,000 civil penalty. There's still a lot of exceptions, ins and outs to this law that we're not going to be able to cover in this video. So research it. If you're a U.S. LawShield member and have any questions, feel free to call in, ask to speak to the independent program attorney in Illinois, and they can walk you through any questions you might have about, here's my firearm. I have a old aunt who's going through a divorce, has a protective order. I don't know if she's a prohibited person or at risk, or, any questions you might have on this law and how you should store your firearms, feel free to call in. No additional charge to you. That's part of your membership. Thank you.